Good afternoon and welcome to News Now, where we tell you all the stories that are making headlines right now, and it starts now with the highlights. The highlights. New NSSF rates that were set to take effect next month challenged in court, with petitioners citing it could lead to many redundancies.
Coming up with such draconian measures, compelling employers to deduct more from their employees, at this time, I don't think it makes sense.
Also, DPP approves murder and other charges against Shakahola cult leader Paul Mackenzie and 94 others who are due in Malindi Court Wednesday. And Pokot South MP David Kosing questioned at the Kapenguria police station over remarks he made that are deemed to be defamatory. Welcome once again to News Now. My name is Hibak Said. To start us off, City lawyer John Mainandegwa has filed a petition challenging the new NSSF deductions that are to take effect next month. Ndegwa says the new NSSF rates scheduled to start this February is untenable, and he wants the notice to be quashed given the high cost of living. The court documents emphasize the board's failure to provide guidance to employers on implementing the NSSF Act of 2013, causing confusion and anxiety in both the public and private sectors. Now, according to the new rates, the lower earning limits is raised to 7,000 shillings from the current 6,000 shillings. Employees in this category will contribute 420 shillings, up from 360 shillings. Simultaneously, the upper earnings limit is increased to 29,000 shillings from 18,000 shillings, resulting in most workers contributing 1,740 shillings, up from 1,080 shillings. Employers will continue to match each contribution as has been practiced.
It's untenable. Today, I've moved to court. I've filed a petition seeking that those notices be quashed. Coming up with such draconian measures, compelling employers to deduct more from their employees, at this time, I don't think it makes sense given the high cost of living. So I hope that the courts will seek and grant the player sought so that the said notices can be set aside. Thanks. The times we are living are so chaotic. The cost of living is so high, and I know that the courts will empathize and sympathize with the plight of workers who are toiling so hard to bring food on their tables. So I have no doubt, I know it will pass.
Right, ODM party leader Raila Odinga has warned Chief Justice Martha Koome against holding talks with President William Ruto to avoid compromising the courts. Odinga, who spoke in Vihiga County during a meeting with ODM delegates, said the executive has an active case in court and therefore there cannot be any dialogue. During a press conference on Monday, Chief Justice Martha Koome said she wants a meeting with President William Ruto to discuss the concerns regarding the judiciary.
The Chief Justice is talking about having a dialogue with the executive, which has got an active case in the court. That is how to compromise justice. Let the judges do their thing independently. We want to tell the Chief Justice not to compromise the position of the court. She already took a position. There's no need for dialogue. If I have a case in a court, I don't need to go and negotiate with the judges. There's no need for negotiations. Either I am right or I'm wrong. Either it is black or it is white. That's what it is. But if you want to compromise the judiciary and negotiate with the executive over this kind of dispute, then we are saying you are yourself going to compromise the country. Kenyans must stand firm so that we protect these institutions that were created in this constitution.
Chief Justice Martha Koome nimemtumia ujumbe leo asubuhi. Nikamwambia wakati ambao tunaishi sasa, it requires bold action and people to stand up straight against dictatorship. Wewe badala ya kuitisha mazungumzo, hiyo mazungumzo mnaenda kusema nini? Mkubaliane na Ruto zile kesi atawaachilia zipite, zingine muachilie zipite, wananchi waendelee kuumia. Mazungumzo ni ya nini? Wewe uko na katiba. Wakati unaingia kama jaji mkuu, unashika Biblia unasema utatetea katiba. On this particular issue, the national government is wrong. The executive is wrong. The judiciary is right. Stand firm. There is nothing to dialogue over.
Right, on the same beat, President William Ruto now says his administration has every right to respect the independence of the judiciary, but will not allow corruption in the sector to take the country backwards. The president, who was speaking in Nandi County, has welcomed the invitation for talks between the executive and the judiciary in order to remove graft from the courts. Elsewhere, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has dismissed President William Ruto's succession talks as premature, terming it as disrespectful to President William Ruto, who was elected just a year ago. Now, Gachagua, who spoke during the burial of Mzee Philip Tonui, father to Bomet Senator Hilary Sigei, told leaders to desist from 2032 politics and focus on assisting the president to succeed in his development agenda. The DP was responding to calls by young MPs from the Mount Kenya region pushing for Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro to succeed President William Ruto.
Yes, Mheshimiwa Yegon from Bomet East.
Na mimi nauliza sasa, nyinyi vijana, William Ruto amechaguliwa juzi, mwaka moja. He has 9 years to go. You are talking about succeeding him. Munataka kurithi munataka kugawa mzee akiwa hai. Surely you people, what is you young people, what is the problem? President has just been elected. Si ni mwaka moja. Ati watu naanza kusema ati ni mimi ati huyu ndiye atasucceed ye 2032. Kwanza, it is disrespectful to the president. Hiyo ni kukosa heshima kwa kiongozi. Sasa kiongozi amechaguliwa tu just last year. Ako hapa ndio ana settle down kupanga kazi. Wewe unaanza kusema ati mimi in 9 years nitarithi. Nani anakuambia utakuwa uhai? How do you know? 9 years is a very long time.
Now to a story that was taking up headlines for months. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has issued a press statement on the Shakahola massacre, saying that upon thorough analysis of the evidence presented to him, he is satisfied that there is sufficient evidence to prosecute 95 suspects with 3 offenses under the Penal Code. The DPP has therefore directed that the suspects be presented before the High Court and subordinate courts. In the first defense under the Penal Code, Cap 63, the prosecution has found the suspects culpable of murder, manslaughter, and assault causing bodily harm. The offenses under Prevention of Terrorism Act, the prosecution has charged the suspects with engaging in organized criminal activity, radicalization, facilitating the commission of a terrorist act, and being in possession of an article connected with an offense under the Prevention of Terrorism. The offenses under the Children's Act, the prosecution has also found that the suspects are guilty of subjecting a child to torture, contrary to torture, contrary to cruelty to a child, and infringing a child's right to education. Moving on, Wiper Party has announced its intentions to endorse Kalonzo Musyoka, a presidential candidate, in the 2027 general election in due course. Speaking at the party's headquarters in Karen, Nairobi, the party said once Kalonzo will be endorsed, the former vice president shall embark on national campaigns to solicit grassroots votes ahead of the general elections. Kalonzo, however, traversing across the country, shall be aimed at consultation amongst Kenyans pinched by high cost of living. The Wiper Party leader warned the judiciary against negotiations with the executive, terming Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's move to tender a petition against Judge Esther Maina at the Supreme ill-motivated.
Elaborated. Obviously, I'm waiting to see whether Chief Justice will receive Gachagua when it's Thursday. He said he's going to lead a protest. I want to see that, because that will be the culmination of absurdity with regard to the relationship between the executive and the judiciary. So we are witnessing very absurd situations. And we must actually say enough is enough. Please leave the judiciary alone. Some others thought that when I wore my robes and took part in the protests called upon, which were called by our society's president, Bwana Theuri, they thought I organized that. Oh my goodness, these people have a larger life than I claim to. If I can marshal the whole of the law society to go and protest, then they better be very afraid. Another question.
My name is Tony Kadenya from GOtv.
Kadenya.
Last year, by the end of the year, we saw a large...
There's the number 2 in Laikipia, right? Joining the party. For me to take him seriously, he brought his own wife. And he told me, this is my real wife. So I told him, listen, Mama, unasikia? He said, you are the real wife. How about the others? So people are coming around, and it is beautiful.
When are you expecting the membership recruitment? It's ongoing.
Oh, it's ongoing, but we're going to hold, as our sister parties are doing. This morning, I spoke to my brother Raila. He was in Vihiga. And by the way, please media help us. There's no such thing as Azimio la Umoja coalition falling apart. It's all in people's imagination, because we are committed. We are committed. Differences of opinion here and there do not translate or cannot be taken as problems within the coalition. We are very determined, more than ever before, to forge a unified position as Azimio la Umoja One Kenya.
Good afternoon, members. Are we ready? From DRC to Sudan, to Rwanda, to Uganda and Tanzania, we cannot sit and watch that. We cannot sit and watch them break relationships that took time and effort to build, especially the East African community. The executive attacks on the judiciary has a collateral purpose, that is to wear down all constitutional institutions, particularly the judiciary, and leave it exposed to manipulation, to intimidate judges into puppets whose strings the KK regime is determined to hold and operate without accountability. At a time when the lines between the executive and legislature is blurred, it is critical that the independence of the judiciary and its institution is defended. Kenyans shed their blood for this constitution, and fidelity to the rule of law is utmost importance. We will not allow our country to fall back to the days of anarchy and dictatorship.
Now, Pokot South Member of Parliament David Kosing has been questioned at the Kapenguria police station over sentiments he made on the state of insecurity in the area that are deemed to be defamatory. Security had been beefed up in and around the station after a group of youth showed up with placards decrying what they termed as Kosing's mistreatment. Now to a story that has been making headlines this week. The Federation of Women Lawyers in Kenya, alongside Kenya University Students Organization, now want the government to ensure perpetrators of violence against women and girls to be heavily punished. This comes against the backdrop of the murders of 3 women, one in Machakos and the other 2 in separate Airbnbs within Nairobi. The lawyers and student leaders say thorough investigations should be conducted to determine the circumstances that led to the unfortunate incidents, adding that women and girls' safety must be guaranteed. KUSO President Saruni Jesse, who spoke during the press briefing, added that female students are affected and are also affected because of the desperation, and he has requested the government to ensure the students are protected against these perpetrators. He has also warned and cautioned the students to be careful in whoever they are dealing with and to ensure their friends know their whereabouts whenever they are out with strangers.
FIDA Kenya is deeply concerned by the increasing instances of violence against women and girls, and particularly the gruesome murder of one Starlet Wahu, deceased in circumstances disclosing violence against women in the form of intimate partner violence, IPV. Barely a week later, FIDA has learned with shock of the murder of a woman whose body was found at an Airbnb located in Roysambu under circumstances suspected to have been again another case of IPV.
We call upon the criminal justice actors to take into consideration the rights of the victims' families and their representatives at all stages of criminal proceedings in further reaffirming the right to access to justice. We also call upon the government to further strengthen the regulatory mechanisms for Airbnbs where the recent reported incidences have occurred.
Call to fellow students is to be very aggressive and be your brother's keeper. Be watchful. When you have your friend, make sure that if they are going somewhere, maybe for a social event, if you're going together, if they are visiting someone, make sure that you check up on them. We really appreciate FIDA for taking your time to engage the student fraternity, and we are hoping that we can be able to channel this to the grassroots so that at least all the students can be able to be part of this bandwagon so that we can combat this vice in our society.
Right. Kathiani MP Robert Mbui has lashed out at President William Ruto due to the delay of NG-CDF funds, saying that he will be present, or rather he will present a bill of no confidence in Parliament against the Cabinet Secretary of Finance, Njuguna Ndung'u. Mbui has explained that when Parliament returns to its sessions, the first bill will be to remove the Cabinet Secretary of Finance if those finances are not provided. The MP urged the President to ease the burdens of Kenyans that are going through by lowering taxation in the country, while strongly condemning the President's statements that he will not respect some court decisions.
Kama mwaka wa 2020 hapo ndio mama moja akajitokeza ambaye bwanake alikuwa akifanya kazi katika ofisi ya mashamba. Sasa alipotokea akasema hii shamba ni yake na ana taito yake. Sasa mimi nilipoanza kwenda katika ofisi na kuangalia nikakuta namba ndizo zili, yule alipewa namba 2846 na mimi niko na 3615.
Na hii ndio kitegemeo wetu. There's nobody employed in the seventh son that we are born, including our father. Nobody is employed by the government. Na hakuna mtu akona ajira mahali. Tunategemea hii shamba ndio tunafanyia kazi. Hapa ndio sisi tunatoa chakula yetu, hapa ndio sisi tunakula. Alafu mtu tu amekuja from nowhere want to grab this land. So I'm just calling upon government ingidie.
Na that letter of allotment inataja 3615 na mzee ndiye alikutwa shambani Steven Kome Karia. So sasa mimi nilikuwa nataka niulize Wizara ya Ardhi. How comes mtu amepewa letter of allotment alafu land registrar, a competent land registrar ambaye yuko kotini, yuko ofisini, anasema ya kwamba hakuna records the such plot number. Surely I think we have a long way to go.
Inaonekana sote katika hii area hatuna mashamba. Sababu kama huyu mwenzetu ameanza kuporwa mashamba tukiwa hapa, na tunasikia ni namba nyingine imebadikwa. Hata labda yangu ina namba hivyo imebadikwa na wenzangu hivyo. So mimi naomba serikali ijaribu kufuatilia hili jambo.
The Kenya Bureau of Standards has issued an advisory to Kenyans against impersonators purporting to be KEBS staff targeting retail establishments. In a public notice shared by KEBS, the Bureau says the criminals, when confronted, say they are a part of a multi-agency team sent to ensure validity of goods and collect fines in case otherwise. KEBS CEO Estangare has, however, warned impersonators, of harsh penalties, saying the standards body is forging means by tightening confirmation of legitimate officers. This comes after cases of impersonators targeting supermarkets, retail shops, and hardwares ran rampant, especially in business centers, having business establishments wary of the standards body.
As Kenya Bureau of Standards, we actually do market surveillance, and we do it for one reason, to ensure we are protecting the consumers, but we don't do to extort any money. In fact, if you are a trader and any officer asks you to pay for you to be released or for your goods to be released, we still need you as a public to tell us.
KEBS Managing Director now says any staff member sent to inspect any business will bear a job card, which could be confirmed through a toll-free number.
Now, the first thing any person saying their KEBS should do, as a trader, you ask for them to produce a staff ID. We have staff ID, a Kenya Bureau of Standards staff ID, and a national ID. And when you have the two documents, then as a public, you can send an SMS with the format HR# the number on the staff ID to 20023.
Kenyans have been urged to remain vigilant as the standards body works towards nipping the menace in the bud. Hibak Said for TV47. Right, let's get sporty. Former Harambee Stars captain Musa Otieno has challenged stakeholders in the sports industry, including the government, to invest in young talents at the grassroots level. Now, speaking in Budalangi constituency during a two-day expedition of talent nurturing at the Angie Junior School Talent Academy, Otieno confirmed that his commitment to help bring out some of the talent of the young people. Now, his sentiments were echoed by the director of the academy, Carl Peters Adero, who said sports, just like any other job, pays handsomely.
Watoto wadogo wako hapa ni Wakenya sisi kama ambao watu talanta imetusaidia hapa nchini, lazima tupige tusaidia watu ambao wanaweza tuma nchi yetu ya Kenya iende mbele, kwa sababu ukiangalia kuna 2027 ambayo inakuja Cup of Nations kwa Kenya. Ukiangalia Angie's Academy imeanza kwa PP1 pale chini kabisa. Unajua hapo ndio pale ambao tunasemaga kwa kama wachezaji ni me and my ball. Kuna infancy group, kuna puberty group ambao iko hapa. Nini tunaweza saidia ambao watoto wafike mahali tunataka wafike. Wako na talanta na hii talanta maybe ndio tutapeleka mahali wanaweza kufika.
Kile cha muhimu katika shule hii ni kwamba tunakuza vipaji na pia tunaangalia masuala kuhusu kusoma, watoto waweze kusoma na pia kukuza vipaji. Ushauri wangu kwa wazazi wasio wanatilia ile haja ya kusema kwamba mtoto lazima aweze kupata grade A ama grade B. Kile cha muhimu pia